It's Sunday night, the night before Memorial Day, and I'm down here working. I should be out drinking, damn it, but I'm down here working. Tonight I'm working on this dash. I just finished this up. There's a ton of metal work in this thing. I'm gonna have my Speedway billet aluminum dash insert, which sinks into here about an inch. So I apologize, I didn't video any of this at the time I was making this. I was kind of in a hurry on this build. So what you see here in this video clip is a very simple pan, flat spot, 3 sides up. And basically what we did was we made it this way, drilled the holes, and then once we got it fit in the dash, we made some connecting radius pieces. Very, very, very bad at drawing. So that basically the edges had a round radius connecting. And then the top, we actually had a shape to the whole thing. It was a very slight shape like this, which was added and fit into the dash, sort of dealy bopper like that, dealy bopper thingy. So that's basically what you're seeing in that video clip is the start of that, and then we fit it to the dash using the Speedway gauge cluster as a reference point. And then one of the other things I'm doing is I'm actually doing a flush mount stereo, flush mount head unit. So here is the head unit I'm using. This is a power acoustic. It's a nice little head unit. It'll fit the rest of the billet aluminum theme that we kind of got going on in the rest of the interior. And it was fairly affordable, and it's also got aux and USB and all sorts of good features on it. But anyways, how this mounts is this mounting sleeve. Now these mounting sleeves drops in there like that, so you can see that's recessed. And then all you got to do, slide your head unit in, and now you can see that the ring is flush mounted, so this barely sticks out, but it looks a lot better than having this mounted straight on top of the flange here, because then it sticks up another 3/4 of an inch, and it just wouldn't look right. But that's that. You can see it all fits tight, and that's what I want, because you don't want this moving around on you. Now here, if you look inside here, pretty intricate little piece. First I made a pan, so it had the 4 sides that were the height I wanted of the pan basically, and then all I did was I cut out the exact size. I cut it out about 1/16 of an inch big, and then I ground it down until that black ring fit in there. Some of this backside here needs some work, needs to either be sandblasted or cleaned up with something. And down here I'm gonna put my vintage air conditioning controls. And then the glove box will go right here. So it might look like it's off center, but it's actually not. When you put the glove box on, the glove box comes out to like here, so it will be centered. Just kind of looks goofy without that. So you can see here is the dash, and here's the little lower valance that I added on. Essentially, all I did is I made a cardboard template of the dash profile and then put it up against a piece of metal, and then shaped the metal. So here's a side profile. So this right here is where it welded to the bottom of the dash with a flange, so it could actually clamp to the dash, their existing dash. So this is the existing dash right here, and then it clamps to the bottom of that. You can see it comes down straight and then has a radius roll in it, which I just did on our brake. It just bumped, so every 1/4 inch or whatever, I just hit it with a little bend. And then I bead rolled a nice offset on this here to stiffen this whole panel, and then it actually has some supports that come up and bolt back up to the underside of the dash. So that's how that works. And then also for the steering column, I did a nice tulip inset here that you can see. It's like that. You can see in this picture here that there's a nice tulip to it. And as well as in the little AC unit here, there was a 1/4-inch rod over the top, and then it added like a tulip. So if you guys don't know what a tulip is, it's like a slight flare. So here's your edge, and then it's like a slight flare like this type deal. It just kind of adds a nice little touch, some shape to stuff. So that's how I made that little panel there. And then obviously all of this was actually reshaped to the car. There was a lot of work in shaping and forming all this so it all fits nice. Here I got some nice polished billet aluminum AC vents I ordered from Speedway, and I am cutting out the holes to mount these in, obviously. So it's just an oval hole, pops in there like that. It's got a little bit of adjustment, so you can adjust it either direction if you need to level it out or whatever. And then there's some screws that hold it into place. But cutting these ovals can be pretty tricky, so I'm going to give you a little tip here. You can see I have my my oval hole lined up with a green Sharpie. I did a black Sharpie first, and then I changed it. I moved a little bit. But anyways, green Sharpie, and I wanted to make sure I left the entire green Sharpie line, because all I did was I put this on here where I wanted it, and then I just traced around with the Sharpie. And if you leave the whole Sharpie line, there will be just enough clearance for it to pop in, but it won't be super sloppy. And then in the corners here, it's hard to cut with the cutoff wheel, no matter how small of a cutoff wheel you got. I mean, you see how small that is. So I take a drill bit, and then I can just slice into that, and then clean it up later with a carbide bit. Another tip: you want to use the smallest cutoff wheel that you can. The smaller cutoff wheel, the less kerf, or the less, I guess, excess cutting around the corners especially. And then you want to make sure not to actually cut all the way through. You want to score it a little bit at a time. That'll keep the kerf size to a minimum. Or you can also cut this smaller and take your carbide and just carbide it out to the green line. Either way works, it's kind of preference. And then on the bigger section here, I like to use a little cartridge roll grinder, because it's going to give you a nice clean look without any chance of gouging in with the carbide. Here's a push-pull style switch, on and off, just like that. But it's got that ugly knob on there. So I got these billet knobs from Speedway Motors, and they have a 3/16 shank. Well, this pull knob is removable, but the shank in there is a little bit too short, so I'm gonna have to do some improvising. Here's this switch here, and I have one of the handles chucked up in my drill here on just a number 6 stud. Now you can see that this handle, like I said, it twists off, so I pulled that off. Well, here is my billet handle. You can see when you put it in there, the shank on this, when it's in the off position, isn't long enough to be set screwed in. You can see that set screw there. It's obviously fine when it's pulled out, but not when it's in. And this also does not account for, I'm going to mount this behind the dash, so you don't have to see any of these rings on the front side of the dash, so that again it was going to even make this shank even shorter. So here is the knob pulled off, and it has a threaded insert here because the end of this switch is threaded. So all I'm going to do is take and grind down this knob until it is the approximate or the appropriate size for this hole, and then that'll in turn make this shank long enough to put my billet knob onto here.